Good morning. It is the vlog ride. I am heading into work, and after dropping off my kid for pre-K, oh my god, I meant to take selfies of it. I got so caught up in just being mom and dropping her off that I totally forgot to stop and take pictures. But it's not her first day. Her first day was actually last week because of how they do first day for pre-K here. But it's my first day to get to take her because I didn't get to take her for the stagger start last week. So but yeah, she was brilliant. She knew exactly where her classroom was from being there last week, and like her second day, she knew exactly where her classroom was. It was great. I am so excited for her. Anyway, so I want to talk about Star Wars. There'll be multiple videos that I'm going to talk about it because I want to delve into different things with different movies. So I just kind of wanted to give my overall impression of Star Wars and how I'm coming at it, because my framing, I don't have a super fandom framing for it. I like Star Wars. I have played the role-playing game, the tabletop. I played X-Wing once or twice back on Windows 3.0, I think, or whatever version it was that my mom had. I played Star Wars The Old Republic, the MMO, for a while, but I haven't read all the extended universe stuff. If I'm curious about something and I know somebody's read it, I'll ask them. I'll look up stuff for knowing what's going on in the different games that I might play, but I've not read all the books. I've not read all the comics. I did skim some of the Dark Horse comics when I used to work in a comic store, but I'm not deep fandom or anything. But because I have done some extended universe stuff, I'm also not a completely casual watcher or casual fan either. I'm somewhere in between. So that's going to give me a slightly different framing than you would get from other people who are much deeper in the fandom and much more versed on the universe and all that stuff. So just bear that in mind. I'm somewhere in between. But I do enjoy it. I was a kid when the original trilogy came out. I don't remember the first time I saw A New Hope. Interestingly enough, I don't remember the first time I saw Return of the Jedi either. I remember, I don't remember the whole name. I want to say it was Ewoks Return to Endor or something like that. It was this family that had crash landed or something on the moon of Endor, and they were surviving with the Ewoks, and there were other creatures, and you got to see these other monsters and all this other stuff that was also going on the moon planet, on the forest moon. I wish I could find information on that show, because I remember liking that show when I was a kid. I know, I just went totally off. I just remember, I just remembered that randomly. But I remember that when I went to go see The Empire Strikes Back, that we were going to see it at a drive-in. I don't know why I remember that detail, but I do. So I think so I'm sure sometime with the death of the drive-ins as a cultural thing, the final death throes of it, I'm sure at some point there was some question asked of me of what was my favorite movie or the last movie I remembered seeing at one or something like that, I'm sure. And The Empire Strikes Back is one of those that I remember seeing it there. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I just remember that. But I was excited for The Phantom Menace. It was okay. Unfortunately, it is not one of those movies that has aged well with me. I'll talk more about it at another time. I did not really like Attack of the Clones, and I really did not like Revenge of the Sith. I will talk in more detail about those two. They really didn't make me happy. So the prequel trilogy, I loved the original trilogy. I still do. The prequel trilogy was a disappointment to me. They have good moments in them. They do. But I just don't really like them as a whole. And I like what Lucas was trying to do with them, but it really didn't work for me. And I'll get into that. Fast forwarding, I think because of my disappointment in the prequel trilogy, I was not upset to see the franchise go to Disney. I liked the idea of somebody new coming in and continuing on. I hate to say that. As a writer, I know how much of a baby my stuff is to me. I can't imagine what it's like to go, yeah, I'm going to sell off creative control of my stuff. As a fan, I'm not bothered by it. I know a lot of people are. I wasn't. It didn't bother me. There are other problems with that in Disney, but I've not been disappointed by what Disney has done with the Star Wars franchise. I enjoyed The Force Awakens. I enjoyed The Last Jedi. I enjoyed what they did with Luke. I understand the problems that people have with both movies. And like everything else, I'll get into those. But I actually did enjoy them. I like the direction of things. I have my own problems with them, and I'll talk about those too at some point. But when I talk about the movies in more detail. But I did, on the whole, enjoy it. I do, on the whole, enjoy what's being done with it. And I am really excited for Rise of Skywalker to come out. I've got some theories. I've got some worries. I'm not the only one who has the theories that I have, so it's really interesting. I've been, observing conversations, about it and whatnot. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited. As far as the one-shot movies, I have for the most part liked those, at least the ones that I've seen, because I don't think I've seen all of them. But I did enjoy Solo. It was fun. I enjoyed Rogue One. It was a good movie. So yeah, I've enjoyed everything that I've seen so far. I don't have any complaints. So yeah, that kind of gives you my framing. Like I said, I'm not a super duper fan. I'm not, deep in the fandom, which is going to affect how I feel about these movies. I do acknowledge that. The people who seem to have more issue are the people who are upset that, existing canon was dumped and things like that, and I understand that. I was a little bit disappointed in that too, but it does look like that they are going through, it kind of looks like they're going through that canon to see what they can work with the visions that they have. So it doesn't look like it's being dumped wholesale and recreated. It looks like it's getting borrowed from and used, just not wholesale. And I have heard criticisms of the now Legends as well. So based on some of the criticisms that I've heard of some of the stories and some of the stuff done, I don't blame Disney for dumping it as canon, and then going through and going, okay, what's going to work? It actually seems like a good idea because there is so much that was done with Star Wars outside of the movies, and even outside of the video games. There's a ton of stuff. Just in the novelizations, there's a ton of stuff. So, and it's a ton of stuff that was done by a ton of people. There's been a lot more than just Lucas who has added to Star Wars, and that I also get people being upset about that canon being taken out, because a lot of those people who added to it were themselves, fans of Star Wars. That's why they wrote those books. So, yeah, I understand. I don't feel the same, but I also don't feel the same because I'm not in that same framework. I can't feel the same about it. Which I think is the most important thing that I want to get across in this. When I start talking about Star Wars and I start talking about my opinions of the movies, the things that I have seen, the things that disappointed me in them, they're not always going to be the same things that upset or disappoint other people. And I'm going to like things that other people aren't going to like. And that's because my frame in approaching these movies is not the same as someone else's. And I'm not going to lie. I think anytime that we share our opinion of something, we want to convince somebody to share that opinion with us. So, like, if I talk about something and I give you a new way to look at it, and then you share some or all of that opinion with me, that's awesome. That's really cool. But it's not really the purpose of any of this, really. It's not so much that I want you to think about the movies or any books the way that I do. It's that I want to show you how I think about them. And so that's why I wanted to really, give the frame that I'm coming at these movies from, because my opinion's not going to be yours. The things that I see, the things that I analyze in it, isn't going to be the same as somebody else, because I'm approaching it a little bit differently. I have a different frame of reference. I have a different experience in approaching these movies. It's going to color how I look at them and how I interpret them. And it does not make mine right. It does not make somebody else wrong. Somebody else being right does not make me wrong. That's how interpretation works. It's not whether or not something is right. It is whether or not something makes sense. And you can have a lot of different views on art, still make sense, and it's because of that framing. So, there you go. That's our big takeaway today. Anyway, it's a fairly short video. I am sorry it's been a little bit since I put one up, but that's life. So if you like this, you want to see more, please, like, share, subscribe. Subscribe and ring that bell so that you'll get notified when I put more stuff up. I do actually try to get stuff up at least once a week. Sometimes I can get stuff up a little bit more often, especially if I'm hyped about wanting to talk about something. Sometimes life gets in the way and I'm delayed a little bit. It's just how it is. So even doing something this casual, life can still slow it up. So anyway, peace.